So, there, I hit the top of the hour. So, okay, hi, Dawn. Thank you for saying hello. So, if you're joining me, please go ahead and say hello in the comments, and I'll try to shout you out. I just feel like I need to fix my glasses. They're all wacky. Okay, there we go. So, um, the nature of being an academic, kind of by the way that the job is constructed, means that we always have more than one project going on. So we have these three areas in academia that we always talk about, which are teaching, research, and service. And those aren't even projects. Like inside of those, there are multiple projects going on. So one of the things that we have to get really good at as academics is managing academic projects. I actually don't love the word balance because there isn't any. At certain times, we put more energy into certain things, and that's okay, and that's kind of how it has to be. So, thinking about our work in terms of projects and project management can be helpful so that we're not like reinventing the wheel, but we're kind of using some tools that might be already out there, but adapting them to academia. So, first, I want to talk a little bit about what I mean by project. So, a project is like a big thing. But not too big. So a project is like writing an article or writing a book proposal, writing the book itself, which even is like kind of a little bit bigger. Projects come in slightly different sizes, but one of the things that's characteristic of a project is that you can break it down into smaller tasks. And that is a big important skill for project management. So the other kinds of things that are important when we think about our academic work from a project management perspective, okay, so is like deciding on what things are projects, right? So creating a new course could be a project. Chairing a committee could be a project. Any kind of writing thing is usually a project. So it has multiple like kind of parts to it that you could break down into tasks, and you have to complete all the tasks to be able to check the project, off and put it into the done list. So having said that, I have been using the project management software called Trello to manage my academic projects. So I want to say a couple of things about that before I show you what Trello looks like if you haven't seen it before. But basically, most project management software has been developed from a business perspective. I mean, the biggest audience for project management software are businesses, and so entrepreneurs use them, all the way up to really big businesses use project management software to help their teams to finish projects, right? So there's lots of different ones, things I've heard people in academia use. A Basecamp is one, Asana is one. And there's lots of different pieces of software out there. I will say from the start that if you are managing a large lab or like a big team of people, and by big I mean maybe more than 5 to 8 people all working on the same thing, then Trello probably isn't for you. You could probably do it, but something more like to the scale of Asana or Basecamp is probably like the size of thing that you're looking for. But since many academics aren't, like maybe most academics aren't running a big lab with lots of moving parts and postdocs and grad students and undergrad researchers and lots of people, that's why I think that for many academics, Trello is good enough. So if the only person that you're managing is you, or maybe you and a few graduate students who are working on thesis, it's really perfect. And that describes me. So that's why I've adopted it as my kind of platform of choice for project management. Now, another thing you might be thinking is like, well, why do I need a piece of software at all? Because that means I have to learn something, and I could just write it down on notes, which is, the kind of traditional way to manage your projects, right? So I think that's fine if you have a paper system that is working for you, or something that's like maybe you're just using Google Drive with Docs and spreadsheets and Gmail, and that's all working for you. and nothing's falling through the cracks, and when you sit down and open your computer, you know what you're going to work on next, then don't adopt a software at all. Okay, so really, this is for these kinds of tools help you manage multiple projects and keep things going. And a really, really important part of project management is understanding that the point is to give yourself a work plan so that you're not reinventing the wheel or trying to figure out what to work on every time you sit down with a block of time. So that's what I've found Trello to be helpful for. And as I go, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. I'm going to share my screen with you. And I'm going to just really simply set up a Trello board. So this is the board I showed on my last video, which is actually my current writing projects board. But I'm going to set up a new board for you. And so I just go to boards. This thing is in the way. Okay, and I'm going to create a new board, and then I give my board a title. So I'm just going to call it sample board. And there's a few things that you can choose in here. Okay, it's going to auto give you a beautiful photo as a background. So you can accept that and then just change it later. I'll show you how in a second. And then when you're first starting out with Trello, you're not going to have a team and everything's going to be private, so you can just leave those preset. But if eventually you'll be creating boards to share with a team that you create or to make public so that your students can copy them like templates or something like that, then you can certainly change these things here. But for now, I'll just click Create Board. So you can see here, although I need to move comments out of the way. There we go. You can see here that we got this kind of neutrally background. I can come in here and change the background to a solid color or a photo. What I always do is I just search for laptop and find a beautiful laptop photo like this one. There we go. Okay, and so now I have my Trello board set up here. And I'm going to show you a super simple way to use it with the most simple project management thingy that you could use. And while I'm doing that, I hope that what you'll see is some of the functionality so you can judge whether this is something that you want to implement or not, or that a tool that you want to take on trying to use. So Trello's made up of three things: boards, lists, and cards. So this is what a board looks like, and then you add the lists, and your lists are going to be your horizontal organization. You have lists going horizontally across the screen, and then you have cards going vertically up and down under each list. So this can go pretty much as far down as you want and as far to the right as you want. But I'm just going to create three lists: to do, doing, and done. And this is a super simple workflow that you can implement if you want to start using project management type strategies to think about your academic projects. So this is just a sample board, but it could be any kind of project, right? Could use this very simple workflow of to do, doing, and done. It could be, prepping your course for next semester. So to do might be, choose the textbook and upload the syllabus into Canvas and, whatever, all the little things that you have to do to prepare for your class, decide on evaluation, revise the syllabus with new policies or whatever. And you could have all those to-dos here. So I'll give you an example. Let's use it for teaching. So I'm imagining that this is a board that's going to be about prepping a new course, okay, that I'm going to do next semester. So one of my to-dos, and like I just listed a bunch, right? You would just make a card for each thing to do. And you would have a big list of cards. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of functionality on the cards, again, so you can see what this is like. And on the back here, this is called the back of the card. You can do, this is where like all the like really awesome functionality is in Trello. So you could, again, a very simple thing to do would be to do an attachment of a Google Drive doc where you've set up to create your reading list in. Okay, so that's one thing that you could do. Or you could simply create your reading list right here in the description. It's a text box. You could put, text there. You could even do a whole other thing, which would be to add another list over here and call it readings, and you could do a card for each reading if you'd like. So many different ways to go. I'm going to archive this, which is how you delete something. Okay, but basically on the back of this card, you can put a graphic that will show up on the front of the card as well. You can put a due date. You can make a checklist. You can label things with different color-coded labels, and you can put text on these colors as well. And you can add members, which is how if you are working on projects that involve co-authors or students, or let's say that you're creating this board to help your student manage her thesis project, you could have her as a member of this card. And all it means there, if you have members on this card, it's kind of like assigning things to someone or making sure somebody gets notifications. A couple other ways to do that are to use Watch. So you can watch cards and make sure that you get notifications, and you can set up to get email notifications, which I would not do, or you can set up to have a notification in Trello, and Trello does have a phone app. So I get notifications on my phone when something has happened on cards that I'm watching. And that helps me to make sure that if I have like a co-author who has a question about something and she tags me or writes the question into a card that I'm a member of, then I'm going to get a notification and I can just click through on my phone and quickly answer her. So you can see kind of how this works. You can pull these things very easily and reorder cards very easily. You can do that by dragging them around, or on the list you can actually move cards or around in the list to other lists and sort that way. Again, this little workflow is super simple: to do, doing, and done. You basically have a bucket of tasks here. And then when you sit down to work on this particular project, you are pulling, this could be doing this week, then on Monday, or even better on Friday afternoon, you pull a bunch of tasks into doing this week. And then when they're done, they go on the done list, which is a really important list because it helps you keep track of all the progress that you've made. Okay, Alice, thank you so much for watching. Yay! Yes, you totally, this will be up, so you can watch it whenever you want. All right, so let me talk a little bit more about why you would want to adopt Trello and why you wouldn't. All right. So again, as I mentioned, if you have a small team of people that you're working with, or you just are you and your a handful of graduate students, this is a great option. If you have a small research lab, so I would again say no more than 5 to 8 people working on one board at a time. I'm sure that there are people who use Trello for bigger teams than that, but I find that that's kind of like a little bit of the magic range there of who, of how many cooks in the batter Trello can kind of handle. Now, another thing you should know is that you're not going to have just one Trello board. You're going to have a gazillion Trello boards like me. So you would have a board for every project. And then also you may have other boards that work in different ways. So this is what I call like a live board. So you're actually working in this board, but you can have archive boards where you're copy and pasting things or making little archives of information. You can have template boards where you set up a template for a project with all the tasks pre-broken down for yourself, and then you copy and paste that every time you do a project of that type. So there's different types of boards you can create, but it's a really, really nice container for creating workflows. It's very visual. You can get if you have Trello Gold, which is a tiny upgrade that you can either get by paying like $5 $5 a month or something. Or if you refer a certain number of people to Trello, then you'll have Trello Gold for free. You can actually upload your own little background pictures and stuff, but there's lots of beautiful stock photos that you can use. So if this looks like something that you might want to try to implement yourself, please do leave me a comment and let me know what you think. And again, let me just review a little bit too of who I think this is not for. So I think that if you're using Trello for like a very, very big team, and what I mean by that is like lots of people working on the same board or tasks being assigned to more than 10 people or so on one board, I think it might get a little messy and hard to handle. Also, like if you are not willing to be a little bit of an advocate and show people how to use it, which really, like I just did this right in just a couple minutes and you could see the functionality. It's not complicated, but you do, like if you don't check it, then it's not going to work for project management. So you have to make sure, like if you decide to implement this, you need to get your students on board, or your co-creators of whatever thing you're creating on board with you, or else it won't work for project management unless you get somebody, get the other people to also use this system with you. If you have any questions, please go ahead and leave them in the comments here, whether you're watching live or whether you are, or whether you're joining me for the replay. I will be monitoring comments, so if you have any questions, you can let me know. But that's basically why I use Trello and a very simple workflow for what to use it for. I find this a really useful tool for managing writing projects. It's super cool for pipeline management, but really it works for managing all kinds of things. I planned our trip to Italy with it. I planned my summer writing and my kids' summer stuff and everything in here. And I have different boards for every project. So it really has been a nice visual way for me to organize my work and create workflows that save me a lot of time. So I hope that you're having a great day, and thanks for joining. I will see you later. Bye.